Hello, my name is Josh from Marques Flooring, and I'm excited because today we finally got our third Thursday training back. We've of course had some delays with COVID, but we're now back. We're going to be hopefully doing them every single month. Today we're going to be going through the range of Peerless coatings, and we're going to go through some different ways that it can be used, the benefits of it, how to use it, and a couple other tricks that are going to help you win over a few other people on some jobs. To do this, I'm going to go with Braden, our trade specialist, and we're also going to have Rasmus from Peerless itself. So I'll hand it over to Rasmus, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for having me. Very happy to be up here in sunny Queensland on the Gold Coast. Right, today we're going to talk about the Eukula products. We're going to talk about our sealers, our water base, and our Hardwax oil. We also do have a variety of other penetrating oils and colored oils, but we will leave that for another day. And then we are going to have a quick look on our Dr. Shoot system, which is a PU sealer for resilient floor types. So again, thanks very much for coming, everyone. With our sealers, our most two popular sealers is definitely our alcohol sealer, which is our G200A. Fantastic, easy to apply, dries very, very fast. We also have our classic seal. Again, really easy to apply, eliminate lap lines, dries fairly quick as well. Can be worked on after 3 hours, where the alcohol sealer is 60 to 90 minutes. Those two sealers we have already applied for you guys to have a look what they actually do look like applied. We will go on top of them with our Extreme. Our Extreme water base is, as it says, extremely hard wearing. It is easy to apply. Again, with the right sealer and the right technique, lap lines, thing that we should avoid with these products. Easy to apply, levels extremely well, and goes really, really hard. So these are all positive words. I like that a lot because it's a very, very good product. With the Perform, it has a super, super strong adhesion. It'll stick to anything. It'll even stick to pre-finished and pre-engineered boards. You won't see that with any other coatings in the market in this range. It can also be used on a sports floor, so just tells you a little bit about its durability. Cool. What we'll do first is, what roller you got on there?
10 to 12 mil microfiber roller to be used with this, obviously, so that it holds quite a decent amount of coating in it. What do we got? We got matte finish today?
Yes.
Matte finish.
Yep.
So I'll apply that, we'll mix it up. So number one, as any water base or any coating, shake it up well. So grab with a really good shake. Shouldn't take too long. With the crossing, and while we're talking about this as well, so with Peerless products, with Eukula, the Eukula range, so what changes the sheen level in it, or matting agents, is this part there, or this hardener, crosslinker. So when we mix this up, so we've got crosslinker G here for matte. So that then, if we wanted to turn that into, say, an ultra matte, which is the next sheen level down, we'd need a crosslinker M. So with this, same with if we do a satin, that also uses the crosslinker G, and then if we were to do
you got it?
what was it?
So we have two base ranges. We've got satin and gloss. That's the same base. The G crosslinker brings it up to a gloss. The M crosslinker brings it down to a satin. When we go down to our matte and ultra matte, it's the G for the matte and M for the ultra matte. Yeah? Cool.
Just on the crosslinkers there, can you actually crosslink them together?
No.
cannot do it.
No, you should. What we do with the crosslinker here as well is, and with most peelers of the Eukula range, everything is 1 to 10. So it is very, very easy. So I've done half a litre there, 50 ml of crosslinker. What we need to do now is,
So I guess that's
Mix
good
that
in
up.
a sense of if you're on a job and you had one of each, or two of each, and you wanted to actually change that up, you could change the sheen level by changing that cost link and not necessarily something to worry about.
there you go. One thing that is very, very nice with this, it goes on with a little bit of a sheen, that blue colour. So it goes on with a bit of a blue tinge. That blue tinge will disappear when it dries up. Also means that by loading up, you can really see where you have applied enough and where you haven't applied enough. You want that little bit of a blue look. So I can leave a bit more there. One thing that I like to say about this rather extreme is that I call it apprentice proof. Because even though if you do a thick roll line, sometimes if you curve a little bit, you will at the edge of the roller get a roll mark. That will line out and level out. Perfect. One thing that is super important when you do these ones is actually get enough product on. We know we load it up, get enough product on. We try to say 8 to 10 square meters per litre. Some people get a little bit more, some people get a little bit less. But that is generally where we want to be, that 10 square meter per litre. Within a bit of time, we are going to coat these other panels as well. And we will come back to these ones and you will actually see how fast they actually go off, and they cure and they dry quite quickly, which can be good and can be bad. If product dries too quick, we sometimes need to just get that little bit of extra coating on. When we go on thin, it can sometimes be dry before and you won't be able to hold a wet edge, and that's what we really like to see. We like to see a continuous flow of your coating for superior level. Yeah? But if you get that blue tinge and that blue look or milky, that'll disappear and that will cover absolutely.
I have found when I'm using the extreme, when I'm rolling wall to wall, and I've got too much product on, or it feels like it,
Yep.
it does leave that little bit of a excess on the edge.
Yep.
As a floor sander, I do get paranoid about things like that.
Yeah.
Come back the next day and it's gone.
Yeah.
Can't even see it.
It will level.
It just levels out.
Yeah. And that's the beauty about these products. Fantastic quality and German engineered. Like they do know what they do, those Germans. So yeah, they make some fantastic products. Once you put your primer on, don't ever cut your primer back. That's not what we do. And why don't we want to cut the primer back? Because cutting a primer back, you can, by accident, cut into the timber. If you do that, then you'll get a raw patch. And once you roll your top coat on, you can get like patches that just doesn't look like. Blemishes, yeah, sure. So once this is set, next day, cut it back, only just a light cut before your last final coat. So a 3-coat system, yeah? They perform not as expensive as the Extreme, but the adhesion, again, that is where this is key. That's extremely strong adhesion. Still durable enough to play basketball on it. So that tells us a little bit about durability.
To help the customer make a selection, would you class one as low commercial, one as high commercial? How do you?
If you have extremely high traffic areas, definitely go with an Extreme.
Right.
The Extreme, I'll put that in the shopping centre. No dramas. I'll put that in a dog kennel. It'll be alright. The Perform, I'll put it in my everyday house. No dramas as well. So yeah. Again, 1 to 10. Again, we should have it all all the Eukula products come with a little strainer. Always tap that little strainer here. Instead of mixing my product in the bottle, I prefer to shake my bottle up first, pour it out, let it sit a little bit, put my crosslinker in, stir it up. That way you get all the, if there is any solids on the bottom, you will get that mixed in. There are more solids in the Perform that will go to the bottom because of the adhesion that product has. Yeah. All right. Should be. Yeah. Again, you can always mix more. So, yep. Always. You ready, needle?
Well, it's I just
More the merrier, isn't it?
The more the merrier. Always.
Less lap lines you get.
Load it up. Yeah.
Best blue gum I've ever seen.
So this here is our classic line with a Perform on top. Again, it's a bit thin, isn't it? So I'll add a bit more.
What things are you looking for when you say it's too a bit thin?
So you want to make sure that you really build this product up.
You can see on the floor off the roller, like if I look down there now, I can see where there's absolutely no puddling whatsoever, but I can still see in between like little dry spots like in between it, even though it looks like it's fairly well covered, but
yeah,
it's definitely like you want
it to look a little bit milky.
That's right, like that with that blue tinge. And I know now, looking at that, like you'll see, come close.
Although that's even going against the grain, it'll still
Level out.
That will still level out.
Yeah.
We've even done experiments where we've rolled nicely, and then we've taken one and gone on a diagonal, and you won't notice it the next day.
So I've used all 4 products.
Yes.
From Nature to Perform to Extreme to the PU Anticolour. Now I've found personally in the Queensland climate that the Perform does take an extra 24 hours to cure off.
Alright, yep.
Than the Extreme does.
Yep. So again, the Perform is a softer coating compared to the Extreme. There's no doubt about that. When we have all the humidity that we have here, the weather in Queensland are more humid, we've got higher temperatures. So one thing that we really want to do is try to see if we can get airflow. The more airflow you can get, the faster these products cure, for sure. And quite often, we close up these houses once they're done.
100%.
And they don't get enough airflow. We need airflow. And sometimes, yes, you need to wait that extra 10 or 12 hours. Another thing is that quite often people go out and say, all right, 24 hours, that's next day. Yeah, that's correct. What sanders sometimes do, I'm not saying everyone, they go out, they sand their floor, they do all the things, coat it, 4 o'clock, we go home. Next morning, we're going to come back and put on the second coat. Well, we didn't give it that 24 hours. So sometimes you're 12 hours behind there. And in the climate of Queensland, yes, it can be very humid, and that can prolong the time. There's no doubt about that. If you do have lap lines, most of the time will say the reason for that is we did not get enough product on. And for some people, it is tempting to spread it a little bit further than it should be, because it spreads so bloody well.
It does.
It spreads really well.
Can the opposite happen? If you use too much, you'll also get the same problem?
You can get your puddles, but this will settle very, very nicely. It actually will, but yes, of course you can.
Okay.
You can all, like, too much is too much as well.
But being on the side of too much is probably safer than on not too much?
Absolutely, no doubt about it.
Okay.
You will feel it when you roll it.
Yeah.
Because if you have too much on, your roller actually won't roll,
You'll-
just stick and you'll just start dragging product back and forth. G200A being an alcohol sealer, evaporates very, very quickly. So 60 to 90 minutes, and you can get your first coat of the top coat on. Got that one ready? Yes, that's the way.
Yeah. So with this, I reckon try not to really roll across the grain with it. I reckon that I'm trying to roll with the boards, to be honest with this. I don't really want to be going back over where you've gone, to be honest, either.
Again, you get a fairly good spread rate. You get that about 8 to 10 square meters per liter. Please use a 10 mil nap roller. That goes for our water bases as well.
Yeah.
If you go down to a 5 mil roller, you just don't get enough product on, and we want to get enough product on. That's very, very important. So the other benefits there is to the alcohol sealer. Fast dry time, quick to work on. It gives it a really rich, deep definition and look. Has a little bit of VOC, but it's not too bad. I don't think it's too bad compared to other alcohol sealers. I find it pretty alright. Classic brine eliminates a lot of line marking, or not line marking, lap lines. It will go on very, very easy as well. Don't mind the dodgy sand drop here by Braden, but that's alright.
We can pause that after all
Very much rather after him.
Again, you have that little bit of a blue tinge to it, and that will disappear as this goes off. Within 3 hours, it can be worked on again. Yeah? Will you need a little bit more? Yeah. I think you're right.
And again, from a customer's perspective, Rasmus, what would make someone choose one sealer over the other?
So the G200, that is what I call your get out of free jail card for troublesome timbers that has a lot of oils, a lot of tannins. Therefore, we like to use sort of a brush box. Brush box quite often give people problems. This is your get out of free jail card. No doubt about it. The G200 brings that golden feel that looks really deep and rich, and the Classic brings that nature out of the timber. Not the raw look, but it just that little bit more wet look, but that authentic timber look, which I think is absolutely beautiful. If we have a look at the extreme that we put on, it is actually already settling down. It is already almost looking dry in spots. So before we finished here, that will be almost ready for the second coat, I reckon. With the G200, if we have a look at that, you can see that is already curing as well. It's already going off. It's getting that dry skin on it. So that is
How long could be the shortest after your first actual coat? So sealer, first coat, could you then do your...
Let's say 60 minutes, eh? And then extreme, 2 hours later, you should be able to put it on the coat on.
60 minutes for the sealer,
Yeah.
2 hours for the top.
Yeah. I will always give it a bit longer. The longer you leave it, but if the conditions are right, if you put a fan on and stuff like that, that will speed up the process.
And you can still buff it okay after 2 hours.
See, that's the issue.
It might gum up a little.
It'll gum up a bit. And therefore, I like to leave the product as long as possible before I cut back. Absolutely. The reason we cut back is actually not to get adhesion, or get the cutting for the next product to anchor into it. That's not what we're cutting in. We're cutting in to get rid of the grain rise. Yeah. So therefore,
It's a different type of buffing then.
Yeah.
Because in most scenarios you'd be fully buffing it for the adhesion to stop peeling.
We don't need to do that.
And this you're just smoothing it off.
We're just smoothing it off. We want to lay down that bit of grain rise that we got with the with the sealer and the green glass that we got on the Waterpex, the first coat. But it's nicer to cut that coat of Waterpex. In Germany, I know for a fact they will never cut their sealer. In Australia, some do it, some have, but yeah, the Germans will not do that. They cut their first sealer and they cut it the next day. I always say, give it that 12 to 24 hours before you put your next coat on. You get a superior cutback, and you'll get it flat and absolutely perfect. Put your last coat on, and you go home and you're finished. So, alright, with our Hardwax oil, a little bit opposite to what we do with water base. We actually want to stretch the amount of product we put on. We want to put on a lot thinner. If we put it on too thick, then we're going to get the lap lines with the Hardwax oil. So that works opposite. Benefits to the Eukula Hardwax oils is dry time, curing time. You can use it as a normal Hardwax. Don't have to put any additives in if you don't want to. You've got to have a longer dry time. Again, depending on weather or humidity, that is something you have to feel for. But by adding Eukula FS Master, 2 to 3 hours, and you can actually put your next coat on. That means that you can get 2 coats done in a day. Another thing that we have within the Hardwax system is our premium additive of nature. What this additive does is make the product look natural. It looks like there is no coating on it. And that is actually a bit of a white pigmentation we put in. We put that in the first coat only. Apply with a 5mm nap roller. Put the FS Master in as well, if we desire that, for a faster cure time. If we don't worry about the cure time, if we want to come back the next day, don't worry about it. Don't use it. And again, comes in our 2.5 litre. Really, really good on price point as well, compared to other on the market. Yeah, and spreads really, really nicely.
And coverage on that?
18, I believe it is.
Per litre? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, do you want to roll a bit of that on? I would just roll it on. Don't even worry about the additives today. I would just put a bit on there and roll it out. Yeah, that's more plenty of that. What our Hardwaxes do as well, it comes in a satin and a matte. But that really brings a rich glow to and a beautiful glow and beautiful look to the timber board.
Have you got enough working time with this stuff?
Absolutely.
Like for example,
this product going down with Hardwax, you should actually do what I'm doing now, is massage it. Obviously you can't just keep going over and over and over it again, but massaging it into the timber like that, that's what this product needs. Any Hardwax oil, normally you'll massage it in. You won't necessarily roll it the same way you would with a normal coating, and that's how we're actually stopped. That's how we're stretching the product, is because we're going backwards and forwards. Obviously, when you roll out, that's applying. When you come back, that takes the product off. So you're obviously massaging it into the timber so that it's coming back. We're taking that coating, that excess off. Whereas with water-based, we wouldn't worry about that because obviously we wanted to keep the product on board.
and that comes in all sorts of shades as well from your.
So we have that in satin in that. Yeah, two sheen levels. I think we should try and have a look at the. If we have a look at the gloss here, that's actually already the G200. That is already semi-dry. It's dry to the touch. Anyway, the stream is not too far. Still got a bit in the middle there. It's not, but yeah, definitely within a couple of hours that'll all be fully dried.
I might have missed it. What was the drying time on the Hardwax oil between coats?
So if we use the FS Master, right? 2 hours after, we can actually go back and apply the second coat. 2 hours. That's very, very quick.
So you could technically coat in a day.
You could coat it in. I will always leave it a bit longer. Some people, the more hardener you put in, a little bit harder it can be to work with as well. Some people prefer to use not 10%, some people like to use 5%.
I don't know whether you touched on that, but you know the Nature's hard.
Yeah.
Can you use that on Australian hardwoods? It's got to be oak that you use that on.
So alright. So what we do have as well, I'll get.
Oh, you didn't use that?
No, we haven't even put this.
Oh,
in.
okay, gotcha.
But I'll get back to you on this one. What this does is to make your board look raw. It looks like there's no coating on, yeah? We do have a nature ad, or not a nature ad, a nature water base as well. That will look like there is no coatings on. What that does is add a bit of white pigmentation and a special technology into your coating, the water base, and that will make that look invisible.
Yeah.
It does not only just look raw, but it also feels raw. So it has like a nano crinkling effect. Only a light touch, but it actually feels raw. It feels nice. It feels like this is timber that is untreated. Whereas if actually it is treated and it is sealed.
So that brings us to the next one. Does it also comply with anti-slip then?
Anti-slip, yeah. So all our coatings, we have anti-slip additives for everything. All comes with an R9 slip rating. That's the product full range R9. We have anti-slips R10 additives and R11 for everything. So that means that you can put this on stairs, on ramps, and you can comply with the Australian standards for any product. Yeah.
But does it so like let's say for example that you do a satin finish, does that make it matte or it keeps it satin finish?
No, it keeps it satin. Yeah, absolutely. It's an additive that just gives you
the grittiness.
So it makes it grippy, not gritty. So that's
difference. Yeah.
It's not sand, Danny.
No, we've got one more little thing to show you guys. Is that a fresh roller?
Yep.
Right. If you have floors, we have a product called Dr. Schutz as well. The Dr. Schutz is a PU sealer. It is extremely flexible. It is used for remediation of old floors. That means that if you have a scratched vinyl, it doesn't need to be vinyl planks. It could be sheet vinyl. It can be a concrete floor that has epoxy on it. They quite often looks really scratched, really easy. It could even be this floor we are standing on right here, if it was still in a good nick, or fairly good nick. Unfortunately, we're down to raw concrete in here in spots, so it wouldn't work. But if we had that sealed in, the PU sealer will stick to any resilient floor type. It'll be timber as well, cork. With the right bonding agents, we can even get it to stick to tiles, glass and metal. Well, sounds
Crazy.
Again, very, very, very similar, but now we can suddenly stretch our coatings a lot further. We can stretch these 20 square meters per litre and a dry time of 2 hours before we have our next coating. That's good.
So this is just a sealer, is that correct?
This is just the sealer, yep.
And that's all you need on top, nothing else?
That's all we need on top with a bit of...
Do you have to do any preparation to vinyl or?
Yes, to vinyl is always prep work. And again, we have cheated, this is what we prepared earlier. So with prep work for vinyl floors, you've got to check how has this floor been cleaned, how has this been maintained in the future or in the past. A lot of floors have sealers on, like Gemini and other acrylic sealers, or it's also called floor polishers, right? This is a very, very, very thick product as well.
So will this make an old vinyl floor look newer?
Yeah. With floors that already have acrylics on it, which is floor polish, we will have to strip that off first. That is super important. Once we strip that floor polish off, we will have to neutralize it with a pH neutralizer. We could use Versatile, for instance, which is a fantastic floor cleaner in general.
That's made by Peerless itself.
Made by Peerless as well, yes, of course.
Supplied by Marques.
Supplied by Marques, yes. Yeah.
Well, that's what I recommend to all my customers.
Once you have cleaned it, we always like to give it a little bit of abrasion for the new product to key in. This is a brand new floor. We're not going to do that. We're only just going to show what this can actually do. We're going to coat half of the floor from here. Again, you get a fair bit on here. You use a 10mm nap roller. 20 square meters per litre. Yeah, so but we just want to get that roller wet now.
So when you say abrasive on vinyl,
yeah. So what's
your recommendations?
We like just to use a surface preparation pad, so a maroon pad.
Yeah. Okay.
On a polyvac or something similar. Now we can go fairly thin here, but you don't want that thumping sound. You just want just a little bit more.
And is this a gloss finish?
This is a satin.
Satin.
Yeah, this is satin. Again, within that 2 hours, that'll dry and it's ready for its next coating. If you put a fan on it, it'll dry even faster. For some people that are really, really good with these coatings, they can actually add a lot more and get away with just one coat. Why we recommend 2 coats is because if you have any imperfection in the first coat, on your second coat you can fix them up. And it is a little bit harder to see on vinyl floors compared to tipplers, especially when we have raw products.
So it's like the service coat version.
So this
of recoating it.
So as I said before, if your floor is looking absolutely old and trashed, but it's still like just with scratches and wear and stuff like that, this is where this brings it back to life and will make it look new again. You can also put it on straight away on a brand new floor to prolong the life of your floor, protect that asset. We will actually give you a 3 years commercial warranty on this coating. That is
And what's the slip rating on that?
R9 again.
Okay.
If you want to, R10 and R11 are possible to put in there.
With an additive or some sort, or?
Yeah, with additives. Exactly the same additives as we use.
I'm assuming for things like childcare centres and things, it might be a great idea.
So the other things is now your floor is suddenly much easier to clean.
Yeah.
Your floor is like less prolonged damages as well. It's much harder because these coatings are actually extremely flexible. This is some vinyl where it's already been put on with a color. So it comes in a PU color as well, and it comes in a PU anti-color. So PU anti-color doesn't mean that it can't have color, just to make that clear. But the PU anti-color is an anti-staining floor. That means it is resilient to tire marks, it is resilient to chemical products, it is resilient to hairstain. Is there one of them we've got here? Yes! That's a PU anti-color. Yeah? Again, a little bit thicker in the coating, and what that do is close the cells as well, much more, not allowing stuff to soak in. Another place where this is an easy sell is at male toilets in public areas, like schools and stuff like that, where there are a lot of smell from urine, and what happens there is the urea turns into ammonia. The ammonia smells horrible. With the PU anti-color, the urea can't get into the floor, the ammonia is not created, and it's much easier to wipe up and clean. So it's a very easy sell. You could even use it in a bathroom if you have a timber floor in there. We see that in places.
Especially in Queensland.
Yeah.
See a hell of a
We can also do what's called a remake with the PU products. And that is where we go in and have different colors. You can do solid colors. We can do chips, flakes, different patterns, line marking, decals and stencils. So the opportunities are endless with this. What we do every single time is put the PU sealer on top. Again, the benefits to this is cost savings. It will cost you approximately half, if not maybe a third of what a new floor would cost you. Downtime from pulling a floor up and putting a floor in, it's a no-brainer. So cost, time, and if we have to look at the environment, what happens to a floor every time we have a floor? We pull it out. We have to put a new one in. So there's a huge benefit there as well. So what we're doing right now is this one here. What that does is your PU Anticolour. That is the one that is chemical resistant to iodine, hair colours. Fantastic for hairdressers, car showrooms, doctors, places where you get like operating theatres and so on. Let's sit for a tiny little bit.
Just excuse any fluff.
Oh, he's talking about there's not enough width.
Oh, because it's going to hold it with the...
Yeah.
Just roll to one end and then release it so we can see the colour.
One thing I have noticed with the PU Anticolour is that it's really thick.
Is it?
And gives you even more of a blue effect.
Yes.
Again, you can see where you are, which is definitely an advantage. You get more than that one, don't you? It's sucking it up already. Again, when we're talking timber is definitely more than that because that sounds lovely.
It's too light.
Yep.
You can see how blue it is.
Might be a bit hard to mix it all up.
We need a lot more than that. So we're not even close to having enough of.
Yeah, I've got it.
Where did it?
Okay.
Oh. Yeah.
That's very white shoes for a floor sander there, really.
They're my new ones.
Are they?
He already told you.
They're not broken in yet.
So again, you can see that blue tinge that is on. That will show you where you are.
Of course, dry and clear.
Yes.
It will dry clear. Again, we are.
And this is the same product that was used at the Volvo showroom?
Yes.
Correct.
So they can actually drive over the top of the timber.
You can.
Commercial stuff?
No, just the
Designed for any hard surface floors. Again, once we go over timber, that is an absorbent floor. So suddenly we go from 20 square meters per litre down to 10. Yeah. And we will need 2 coats as a minimum as well.
But thank you so much, mate. I really appreciate it. Thank you. That concludes our training with the Peerless guys. Thanks for joining us. If you liked it, as they always say, make sure you like and subscribe. We've got quite a few more coming up and planned for this year, so make sure you are subscribed or hit us up so we can keep you up to date with what's coming up. The next one we're going to be doing is going to be on levelling with the guys from Marques, and that'll actually be some a bit more hands-on as well. So keep tuned for that. Otherwise, make sure you follow along and see what's coming up. Thanks again for your support, and thanks again to Peerless, and thanks for everyone for joining us. Thank you.